Hello guys and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to talk to you about what I believe is the best way to fix your body clock. And it's going to be done by a method called the circuit breaker, which is a name I kind of made up. But the idea is from CEO of Testosterone. So big up him for the idea. But I'm going to talk to you about it as a method to fixing your sleep schedule, and situations where you should do it, and situations where I wouldn't recommend doing it. But before we start any of that, let's just look at what are the various ways you can fix your body clock. Well, the thing that people often say when it comes to fixing your body clock is to go to bed 15 minutes earlier every night. So let's say your normal bedtime's 2 o'clock in the morning, let's say, and you want to scale that back to a more sort of, dare I say, normal time. You go to bed at 1:45, then you go to bed at 1:30, then 1:15. You get the idea, and it takes a while to go back. And the advantage of this is it's very clean. Your body can get used to it. Your body can adjust to it, which is fantastic. Here's the problem. I think for a lot of people who want to fix their body clock, it's they've had lots of bad sleep. They're always staying up late. They're always they just really want to change. They hate waking up late. They're not getting the work they want to get done during the day. They're not getting sunlight in the morning. This kind of thing. This kind of method of slowly scaling it back by 15 minutes every day, it's not that effective because it's just it's not radical enough change, and it requires an enormous amount of organisation, which most people who are trying to fix their sleep schedule, and I include myself in this scenario, don't have the time to do. They're not able to organise themselves enough to stick to that. You want something more radical, I think. If you're sort of the person I imagine you are to be watching this video, like you need something more radical to shift your body clock. And this is why the circuit breaker was perfect for me, and it would be perfect for you as well. So, what is the circuit breaker? Well, basically, let's say your normal bedtime is 2 o'clock. Let's go with what we were saying earlier. So let's say your bedtime's 2 o'clock, so you're waking up at, let's say you get 8 to 9 hours of sleep. You're waking up around 10 to 11, and by that point, it's already basically the afternoon. It's 12 o'clock and you're sitting down to breakfast. It's not nice. It's not nice, and you don't obviously this is really fun staying up late. I love it, but you don't you're very out of sync with the day. You're not as productive. Anyway, done all that. What you can do to the circuit breaker would be one night. You go to bed, go to bed at the same time, don't change anything about your day. Go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, but set your alarm for 5 o'clock in the morning, so you get 3 hours sleep. And when that alarm goes off, you just force yourself out of bed, and you force yourself to just endure the day incredibly tired. And by the end of the day, you'll be so knackered that you'll just be able to go to bed at 9 o'clock in the evening. With the sunset, basically, is the ideal thing, right? And by that point, you'll sleep around 9 hours, maybe a bit more because you didn't sleep the night before. But you'll wake up around the same time, so around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And from then, you've sort of established a new body clock. Now, it sounds a bit extreme, this, I know, but these are the advantages that I'm going to put forward. So the big difficulty about getting up for me has been that I'm just very I don't I'm not a very good sleeper, and um, if I try to get up early, let's say I go to bed at 10 and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try and get up early, 6 o'clock. I set an alarm for 6. It doesn't really work. It doesn't really work. If I get under, because I'm anxious about whether I'm going to sleep, so I just don't sleep as well. The alarm clock goes off, and I will just my sort of my better instinct will be overridden by my tiredness, and I'll just click snooze, and then eventually just turn it off, and then just wake up, even later than I would anyway. Now the circuit breaker, you'd think the same thing would happen, right? You'd think, because you're getting even less sleep than you normally would, and you wake up with like 3 hours sleep, maybe even less. The funny thing about the circuit breaker method, and this is true for me, I'm not sure if it's true for everyone, but I expect a lot of people will find a similar thing, is you actually get. It's actually really easy to wake up after 3 hours of sleep, in my experience. Like everyone's heard that kind of funny meme about why is 6 hours of sleep better than 8 hours of sleep? And I think basically you haven't really properly got sleep in 3 hours, so you're actually quite shallow sleep, whereby you can actually get up quite easily. Um, Meanwhile, if you're getting, let's say, 7 to 8 hours on that kind of borderline, um, if the alarm goes off slightly too early, you're being awoken from very deep sleep. And so while you've rested better, like you'll be performing better during the day once you're up, it's actually harder to get up, because you haven't slept enough hours. Yeah, no, you have, but you're coming out of very deep sleep, so it feels like you're sort of you're not fully rested when you wake, and then you have a shower and you're fine. But with this, it's like you actually feel fine, in my experience anyway, because like I say, you haven't got those chemicals in your body that are making you tired. In the same way, you're not really in deep sleep, so it's not really a struggle to get out of bed. Which is a bit of a hack. It's kind of too good to be true, right? So that's one of the big advantages of it. Second advantage is it's very easy to organise. You literally can do this anytime you want. Unlike, which is perfect for someone like me, because it's very difficult to orchestrate going to bed 15 minutes. It's hard enough going to bed at the same time every night. Like going to bed 15 minutes early every night, like forget about it. So it's much easier to orchestrate. You can just be like, right, I'm going to get up at 5 or 6 tonight, set an alarm, and go to bed. And provided you can get yourself out of bed, and like, again, it's not easy, but it's very doable in my experience. And provided you can just kind of survive until like 2 p.m, and then you're just kind of on the home stretch, and then go to bed nice and early. Provided you do that, you're set really. So it's very easy. It's very easy, and then it's set in stone. Like I say, because you go to bed at 9, wake up at 6, and you the body clock's already set. So that's another advantage really. So some of the disadvantages are you're losing a whole night of sleep basically. Obviously, you get the 3 hours before your alarm goes off, but you're not really getting fantastic sleep, and that is a problem. The reason why I still am a fan of the circuit breaker method is because I believe in the grand scheme of things, although it's very damaging for my health to lose one night of sleep, in the long term, if I'm that's a sacrifice I'm making for long term health, where I'm getting. I know, like, it's a sure way of me getting a fantastic sleep schedule after that. That's going to be really good for my health, because like being in tune with the sun rising and setting is so much better for your testosterone. You'll sleep more deeply with that kind of stuff. So all these things are really good. So I think that's a disadvantage, but apart from that, it's a worthy sacrifice. I could be wrong. I don't know the science about how bad it really is to miss a night of sleep. I think it's probably easy to overlook, and I'm probably guilty of overlooking it slightly. But I just think there are no real alternatives that work for me. So, and I have to get into a better sleep schedule somehow. So that's why it's worked for me. That's why I've overlooked that sort of negative side of it. And now the other thing is like your personality might be different to mine, whereby maybe it's easier for you to do the thing I mentioned before, just going to bed 15 minutes earlier every night. Maybe that's more your kind of personality, or maybe on the flip side, it's hard. It's really hard for you to get up after 3 hours of sleep, or you just find it really horrible, like you don't want to do that. Then that's another disadvantage. It's not good for those kind of people. So, but apart from that, those are the only real advantages I can think of. I guess the other thing is you want to do it at a time where it's not really crucial that you're on top form. Like if you got to drive, your car somewhere, or you got a job where you're operating really heavy machinery. Probably not a good idea to get 3 hours sleep. But like if you're just me, you're just a student. You can kind of take the L for one day of just being really tired. It's not a problem. I mean, it's weird. The other thing is like I don't actually feel. I did this today. Like I woke up early today and I had a circuit breaker where I just woke up at 6. It was actually fine. I actually feel fine now. I know I've slept very badly, but I actually feel like I've had a normal night of sleep. Now I'll probably feel really tired later, hopefully, and I'll catch up with me. But for now it's okay. But people's personalities are different, so it depends what sort of personality you have as well. I'm just going to finish off by mentioning one other thing that I forgot to mention earlier, which is there's another way I can see of dealing with of fixing a sleep schedule, and that is going to bed much earlier, just straight off the bat. So let's say you want to wake up at 6 a.m. and your normal bedtime's 2 o'clock. Go to bed at 9, and this kind of has good advantages of both, right? Because you're waking up at 6, like only takes one night to do, and you're getting a good night's sleep. It's the problem of whether you can force yourself into bed early or not. I discourage this, or I don't discourage it, but in my experience, it hasn't worked because I found it so difficult to actually fall asleep at 9. If I've been going to bed so much later, that my sleep's just ruined for that night, and it's not in the initial stage with the circuit breaker where my sleep's so bad that I'll just wake up and it doesn't really matter. It's on that kind of middle level where, okay, you get more sleep, but when the alarm goes off at 6, you're like, oh fuck, I didn't even get sleep till 12, and again the better instinct is overridden by just my tiredness, and I press snooze, switch off the alarm, and then just wake up later, in my experience. The other thing is, I think it's fantastic for your mental health to go to bed really early. I think it really confuses your body. It really threw me off because I tried this way of doing it and it really threw me off. So that's one disadvantage. The other disadvantage is no, I guess that's two things. But with that method as well, it could work if you're one of those guys who can just go to sleep wherever, or you're one of those guys who like you got better discipline when it comes to waking up than I do, and you can just force yourself out of bed at 6 o'clock, even if you've sort of been lying in bed since 9, not really sleeping. Then actually it's probably a better one to go for. But it depends how much going to bed radically early affects you. So that's another way of doing it. So yeah, this is why I recommend the circuit breaker approach. I don't think it's for everyone, but I think it's worth considering as a way of just radically sorting out your sleep schedule if you're on a bad sleep schedule. Obviously, I've been talking quite extreme. I've been talking about really early mornings, like 5 a.m, 6 a.m, which isn't for everyone. Some people want to get up later, and that's fine. Some people need to, for whatever reason. So don't think you have to get up at this time. You can do it later if you just want to get on to getting up at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock. You can try a circuit breaker as well. The problem with it is, I think that only really works if you're going to bed at I think I would only try that approach if you're going to bed at like 6 o'clock in the morning, or to a point where you can wake up at. You need to get about 3 hours sleep in my experience for it to work. So you'd have to be going to bed ridiculously late, which I don't think many people are. I know some people who do, but if I wanted to get up at like 8 or 9, let's say, I'd probably, in that instance, I would probably just do the thing of going to bed 15 minutes earlier, or just like going to bed at 11 instead of 2. Just the other two options, because that's kind of there's enough distance where it's adjustable. Like it's not too different from where the point that I'm trying to fix. Going from waking up at 11 to waking up at 9, it's not so radical as waking up at 6. So I think it's best for really radical sort of waking up early protocol. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and give this a try yourself. Let me know what you make of it, and I'll see you guys soon.